DeSantis. We didn't want Haley. We didn't want Christie. We didn't want Ramaswamy. We didn't want DeSantis. We didn't want anybody. We want him.
What does that say about the Republican Party?
It's not about what it says about the Republican Party. It's about what it says about the Democratic Party.
Why?
Because in the end, if you think about him being impeached twice, 34 felony counts or 34 felony convictions, and they still elected him president, it's not about him winning. It was an indictment against the Democratic Party and what the Democratic Party was offering to American citizens. We might sit up there and talk about, hey, you should be a party for the working class, which the Democratic Party was once known for. They're not known for that right now. Why? Because their message was catering towards others and towards other issues. And they forgot about the people that brought them there, that elevated the Democratic Party to what it was over these last few decades. That's why they lost.
Thanks for tuning in. Let's get right into it. Stephen A. Smith returned to The View, and let's just say, they weren't ready. The last time he was on, he completely dismantled their narrative, refusing to echo their Trump-obsessed talking points. But this time, he took it to another level, going full MAGA and leaving the entire panel stunned. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, it really helps out a ton. Now let's dive in. First up, Stephen A. Smith lays it all out, explaining why the Democratic Party is in complete shambles. He put it bluntly: if Democrats keep pushing the narrative that Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, they need to understand something. It doesn't make Trump look bad, it makes them look worse. Why? Because despite those charges, the American people still chose Trump over their candidate. Let that sink in. They can call him an insurrectionist all they want, but here's the real question: how bad must your policies be if voters would rather pick an insurrectionist over you? The truth is, almost no one took those felony charges seriously. Anyone paying attention could see the DOJ was weaponized to take Trump down, twisting laws and manipulating courts just to make something stick. And guess what? It backfired, completely destroying the Democrats' credibility. Now, let's break down another desperate talking point from the left.
So Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
They're trying to claim Trump's victory wasn't a mandate, because somehow, that makes their crushing defeat less humiliating. But Stephen A. Smith wasn't having any of it. He hit the panel with a brutal reality check. Yes, it was a mandate. No sugarcoating that it's like losing a basketball game by 20 points and saying, well, at least it wasn't 30 or 40. Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night. But no matter how you spin it, you got absolutely wrecked. Here's the real takeaway. When states like California and Illinois almost flip red, that's a major cultural shift. When Kamala Harris can't turn a single red county blue, that's not just a loss. That's a national rejection of the Democrat platform. Donald Trump is more popular than ever. Democrats' approval ratings are in the 20s. They hold zero power in government. And yet, they're still trying to convince people Trump doesn't have a mandate. Let's be real, Democrats are so unpopular that the American people chose a 34-time convicted felon over them, in a landslide. That should tell you everything. And this is where Sunny Hostin completely loses it. Stephen A. Smith lays it out. Biden is responsible for opening the borders and allowing 12 million illegal immigrants in. Watch this.
You brought up the message that the Democratic Party was disseminating. I'm challenging you on that. That is not what they were doing. I'm not talking about the intent.
We did it.
I was here too. I was alive and breathing right here on the air talking to everybody else. The bottom line is this, you're Joe Biden. You opened borders. Now remember, Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did. Yeah. You know what he didn't do? He didn't stick out his chest and bloviate about it. He just did it. Yeah. What does Joe Biden do? Who is a Democrat? Who's the vice president under Barack Obama? He opens borders. Over 12 plus million people enter the country. The point that the biggest point I'm making.
He just took the key and just opened up a door?
He just took, well, that's part of it. Even the Democrats say they did that.
Sunny, with her signature snark, sarcastically asks, so what, he just opened the door? Yes, Sunny. That's exactly what he did. And you don't have to look any further than Trump to see the difference. Under Trump's executive orders, border crossings hit 20-year lows. No new border legislation, No extra funding, just action. Then Biden comes in, reverses Trump's policies, and suddenly? Crisis mode. And here's where it gets hilariously ironic. Right after Stephen A. Smith lays out the facts, they bring on the worst press secretary in history, Karine Jean-Pierre. And what's the first thing she says? It actually wasn't a mandate. Watch this.
When Stephen was leaving, she said, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I disagree with you.
Yeah, I do.
And I was curious, and so that's why I was curious.
I do, on the mandate, on Donald Trump and his administration having a mandate. And we have to be super mindful and careful of this because he does not have a mandate. And what I mean by that is if you look at the numbers, just look at the facts. He won with the smallest margin of the popular vote since the 19th century. There was no coattail, meaning that it is the House is at a razor thin, and he's on his way in the first 100 days to be the most unpopular president in their first 100 days. That is not a mandate.
Now, I have to wonder, did they schedule Karine Jean-Pierre right after Stephen A. Smith on purpose? Because after he completely destroyed their narrative, they needed someone to come in and comfort the panel, reassuring them that everything is fine and they don't need to change a thing. And this speaks to the deep insecurity within the Democratic Party. They constantly lean on being college-educated, as if that somehow justifies their useless degrees and massive student debt. It's unthinkable to them that non-college-educated MAGA voters might actually be smarter than them. Instead of reassessing why they lost, they'd rather stroke their egos and tell themselves, no, we did everything right. It was just racism and sexism that beat us. But then, Alyssa steps in with the ultimate clapback to Karine Jean-Pierre. Does it really matter if it was a mandate or not? The guy won. Watch this.
I guess the question is, does it matter if he has both houses of Congress and the White House?
It does matter because right now we have, what we're seeing in this administration is he's taking a wrecking ball to the government. Yeah. And what that means, and so that people really understand as folks are sitting here and watching, there are folks who have been fired from the federal government, and now, is our water safe, right? Mm-hmm. Is our food safe? Right.
The skies.
Right. And the skies, right? We have to worry about getting on a plane. Is that going to be safe?
Is there going to be a pandemic?
Is there going to be a pandemic? And not only that, folks who need their Social Security check, are you going to get it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that is real. And they're doing it without concern of the fallout.
Right. They don't care.
And that is something that and look, I understand.
I'm pretty sure people didn't vote for those things.
Right, because where's the economy?
Karine Jean-Pierre fell back on the same tired fear-mongering tactics that define the entire Democratic Party. They might cut your Medicaid. They might slash Social Security. Planes will fall from the sky. The government will shut down. It's the same script, recycled over and over because they have zero actual evidence to back it up. And that's why Democrats keep losing, in court, in elections, and in the court of public opinion. They're desperate because they know what Donald Trump is doing will actually be a net positive. If he's successful, people will see the results firsthand and realize they never needed bloated government programs or Democrat control in the first place. And that terrifies them. But here's the thing, they don't actually care about improving lives. They just want to keep voters afraid and Trump deranged so that when things start getting better under Trump, people are too brainwashed to admit it. And now this next part is pure comedy. Karine Jean-Pierre tries to paint herself as a sympathetic figure, claiming she was so hurt when the truth about Biden's mental state came out. But in the process, she accidentally admits that Biden was so out of it, she barely even saw him. Whoopi Goldberg's reaction says it all.
It was shocking what I saw. But I also, I can't speculate, right? I don't know what would have happened. And anybody who says they do, they don't really know. And so I don't want to go to rehatch the past. I don't think that's a good idea. Right now, again, 5-alarm fire, we need to move with strategy, with focus, and the Democratic Party needs to actually answer those questions that I put forth. Who are we and what are we fighting
for?
And how do we meet the moment?
Press secretary, you were also an assistant to the president, so that meant you were able to interact with the campaign off time.
Actually, I could not I had a special kind of role as a press secretary. I did not interact with it.
So you had no, as a commissioned officer.
I could not.
So you had no insight into the polling that showed you would have lost everything.
I did not because
sales.
Well, it does matter though.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. Hold on. We're going to take a break.
Karine Jean-Pierre just confirmed what the bombshell Wall Street Journal report revealed. Biden was so isolated, so hidden, that even his own cabinet secretaries and press secretary barely had access to him. And Alyssa? She's like, yeah, that's kind of important. But Whoopi. Nope. She immediately panics, nope. We're going to commercial break. Why? Because after Stephen A. Smith already shattered their worldview, the last thing The View needed was for their own White House mouthpiece to make things worse by accidentally exposing the truth. That's hilarious. And it shows just how desperate the Democrat media is to protect their crumbling narrative. They're not worried about the fact that they lied about Biden's mental decline. They're not worried about wrecking the economy, opening the borders to 12 million illegal immigrants, or the constitutional crisis they've created. Nope. Their only concern is stopping Trump, because he's exposing them. And that's the real fear. It's not just about losing elections, it's about losing control. For decades, the Democrat Party has built a massive system of big government, endless regulations and bureaucratic bloat. They've convinced people that this is the only way things can work. But Trump? He's proving them wrong. When Trump cut regulations, the economy boomed. When he cut taxes, businesses thrived, and Americans kept more of their hard-earned money. When he secured the border, illegal immigration plummeted. When he put America first, foreign leaders actually respected us. These aren't just talking points, they're results. And that's what terrifies Democrats the most. Because if Trump shows that government can be smaller, smarter, and more efficient, people will start asking questions. Why do we need all these regulations? Why is the government so bloated? Why are we spending trillions on broken programs? And once people start asking those questions, the Democrats' entire system starts to crumble. That's why they're so desperate to stop him. They don't want people to realize they've been lied to for years. They want to maintain the status quo, not for you, but for them and their wealthy donors. And the media? They're not just biased, they're complicit. They've spent years pushing Democrat narratives, covering up failures, and attacking anyone who dares to challenge them. But now, thanks to Trump, people are waking up. And here's the kicker, the Democrats' biggest weakness is also their biggest strength, their arrogance that they're so convinced they're right, they can't even fathom being wrong. They think they can keep lying, keep spinning, and people will just go along with it. But they're wrong. People are tired of being lied to. They're tired of being told what to think. They're tired of a government that serves itself instead of the people. And that's why Trump's message resonates. It's not just about policy, it's about freedom. Freedom from government overreach. Freedom from endless regulations. Freedom from a system rigged against the average American. And that is a message Democrats cannot compete with. What's next? More lies. More fear-mongering. More desperate attempts to distract from the truth. But the more they try, the more people wake up. And when they do, the Democrats' house of cards will come crashing down. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.